Let's go out on video chat now. He's making his RP show debut, but Lanny McDonald, Hockey Hall of Fame, chair of the board of directors, you are our first guest on national television. I hope it doesn't make you nervous, Lanny, to be on national television.
I had to make sure everything was fine. You have me now?
Yes, we do. It's perfect, Lanny. Thank you so much. And as you just heard, you are our first guest on national television. We will never forget this day. And by the way, it's been a very big week for you with the induction last week, by the way. How much of a tidal wave is that for you in your role when the induction class is unveiled like that?
Well, it's an absolutely fabulous week, fabulous 3 days of meetings. But just before we go there, I can't believe just before I come on as your first guest, you trash talk my Calgary Flames.
Did I?
Saying the Winnipeg Jets are going to beat them in 4 games. Like, where are you coming? Like, talk about nervy. But that's okay. That's okay. Everyone's got their opinion, and you know what? It's wide open. But we'll go back to the Hall of Fame. What a great 3 days. This was our first year. We had to do it, obviously, from a distance. There was only 6 of us in the room, 6 of 19 people in the room, Hall of Fame room, that we were self-distancing or safe distancing in Toronto. And the rest were in Sweden, in Finland, in Russia, and all across the States and Canada. So it was very different, but great days of deliberations. And I think we've come up with an unbelievable class again this year.
Well, now you really got me wanting to talk about the Flames and Jets, but we'll get to that. You talk about the 19 folks on the selection committee. Most of the ones that I'm familiar with, Lanny, is like 5 people, and it's a knockdown, drag them out, brawl over the class every year. So what is it like with 19 folks? Is it ever even remotely close to smooth to whittle it down every year?
You know what? They're great conversations going for the plus and the minus on both sides of the equation. And that's the way it should be. You're talking about a Hall of Famer, whether it's on the builder side, whether it's on the lady side or the men's. And that should be an in-depth conversation. And you know what? It turned out great. Everyone gets their chance to speak their mind, and so be it.
How much do you enjoy, with the role, be the chairman of the hall, of the committee? How much do you enjoy it?
Do you know what? If you love the game, you love the history and tradition of the game, there isn't a greater position you could possibly ask for. And I certainly do love the game. And I love the players. I love the history, where it came from, where it is now. And yes, it is so satisfying. And I don't get a vote myself. John Davidson, who is chairman of the selection committee, I oversee both the hall and the selection committee. John Davidson does get a vote, but it could not be better discussions. It's kind of made up of 3 different groups. 3 past Hall of Famers or players. 6 past Hall of Famers or players. 6 from the media side and 6 from the NHL executive side, whether those are owners, presidents, general managers. So it's a great mix all the way across.
Lanny, I'm sure there isn't a day goes by that there isn't a comment made about your mustache. We had Dave Babich on the air on Tuesday, and I thought, it doesn't give Lanny's stash a run, but it's pretty damn good. Are you two known as the top 2 in NHL history, and would there be a close third?
Well, I actually saw a picture of him earlier on the show, and you know what? His mustache is pretty good, but his hair, it's gone. So I'm just kicking his ass all the way to Sunday.
You're winning big time. The only other one I could think was Eddie Shack. Who else is in that club?
Sparky Lyle on the baseball side had a pretty good stash going as well.
Yeah, and Raleigh Fingers too. If you want to talk, obviously you're a mustache.
Yeah, this is El Natural. Like Rolly had about 4 pounds of wax in there each and every day.
That's not coiffed. I couldn't tell. Yeah.
Yeah. What you see is what you get.
Gotcha. Now, Lanny, now to the series. Here's why. And by the way, if I was trash talking the Flames, you'd know. Just because I picked the Jets to win. Here's why. I think they got more dynamic forwards. I think they're stronger in goal. More veteran coaching staff, obviously, Paul Maurice versus Jeff Ward. The Flames, I believe, have the edge on the blue line. But when you're checking boxes, that's why I picked Winnipeg. I mean, I like Calgary too, but have you been thinking about this series at all?
Oh, absolutely. And yes, you have great forwards. We think we have great forwards as well. And you're very right to say that we have, say, the more dynamic defense. Goaltending is, I think, a saw-off. Our two goalies, Cam and Ritter, they come up big all the time, and I know you guys have been kind of going back and forth as well. So it's a toss-up. Who gets hot at the right time, and away you go. But normally in the playoffs, defense wins championships, and that's why I like our chances with our great defense.
Well, I think it's going to be an outstanding series. And by the way, I got to preface this for our Winnipeg viewers. When you say you guys, I'm not a Jets fan. I just picked the Jets to win. I'm a Golden Knights fan. They flew me down there for games, set me up in February, Lanny, so they bought me because I can be bought. So that
no kidding.
Yes, and I don't mind admitting that either, by the way. So we'll see. We'll see how this all plays out. But that's I've got the Jets to win in 4. By the way, our producer Clark just asked if you have one story that stands out from your Colorado Rockies days with Grapes down there. What do you remember?
Oh my God, there are so many great stories you can't even imagine. Probably one of my favorites was a reporter from New York came in to do a story, and Grapes' office was right on the right-hand side, and Blue used to sit right outside that office. And everyone knew when you came into the dressing room, you go really slow because you didn't want to upset Blue. And this reporter came running in, turned the corner, trying to get in to do a story, obviously moving fast. Blue grabbed him by the back of the leg, wrestled him to the ground. We're yelling for Grapes to come in. And Grapes comes in, takes a look at what's going on, leaves the poor guy laying on the floor as Blue is dragging him all over the place. And he said, "See that, guys? That's the way we got to play tonight. Hungry, just like Blue."
I know. Hey, I read Graves' books. There's like 4 chapters dedicated to you alone in the original books, which obviously you have too. By the way, Rich Sutter's watching, Lanny. He says Eddie Shack would have been his first guest, but he says Dennis Marouk as well. Does he come up in the Mustache Club in your discussions?
Oh, absolutely. And Dennis had the big Fu Manchu all the way down. And yeah, it was dark, and a lot of people don't realize, I think he scored 60 goals one year, but he was on a roll, and he could literally fly out there. And I always thought that mustache has got to be holding him back.
It's just skating like this. Well, he had some Minnesota North Stars records till Neil Broughton came along, and then until Mike Modano came along. But I do try and educate these young kids around here about guys like that and those great 70s and 80s mustaches. Lanny, terrific ambassador you are. I appreciate the time, my man. I hope summer's going great out there, and appreciate the time today.
And you know what? Don't hesitate to call. Look forward to being on anytime. Awesome. Stay safe, guys. And as only our good Canadians can say, make sure you wear a mask.
You betcha. Thank you, Lanny. Appreciate it. Lanny McDonald chiming in from Calgary this morning. And I do have a great story. He won't mind me saying this. He came in to do a dinner. It was the Cougar Men's Hockey Alumni Banquet. And Tiger Williams wasn't there, but Lanny called Tiger and he said, what's the room like? What can I get away with? And Tiger's like, you can get away with pretty much anything. It's all guys. It's a stag event. So Lanny came in with his speech ready to roll for an all-guy event. Walks into the room and he sees a table, 5 women. And he just like has a nervous panic attack almost. Like his speech was not tailored for that. Well, one of those women was my wife. I'm like, I get offended more easily than she does. So I just said, let her roll, Lanny. Just do it. And it was, had like standing ovation at the end. So it was fine. Sometimes I think what guys think are going to be too blue is really nothing.
Right.
But he's like, look, he's a straight up classy guy, right? So he's like, I don't want to offend anybody. You're not. You're in the basement of the Travelodge. You'll be fine.
I can picture, walking into a room. You didn't tell me he was going to be here. Like one table of women at the whole thing. But that's funny.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.